Welcome on into the 5-3 Cleveland Browns report. 27-0 against the Arizona Cardinals. And the two big talking points coming out of this game is the defense is back. After a rocky 2 weeks in Indianapolis and Seattle, it's exactly what the doctor ordered. Come home and play Clayton Tune in his first NFL start. Dalvin Tomlinson popped off for 3 sacks. Turnovers galore, sacks galore. First shutout in 16 years. It's exactly what the Browns needed, right? Could not have come at a better time. But of course, Deshaun Watson, a big talking point in this game. He's making his first, I would say, real start since the Titans game. Ignore the Colts game when he played just 12 snaps. Watson goes 19 for 30, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Let's talk more about Deshaun Watson here because the first half for Deshaun Watson wasn't his best play. I think we can all agree, right? The inaccuracy at times was a little bit shaky, but he settled in. He found Amari Cooper over and over and over again. 5 grabs for Coop, 139 yards, and 1 touchdown. So what does all this boil down to? What does all this mean? It means the Browns are back. I know that we've heard that before, we've said that before, but it means that Deshaun Watson and this offense are finding some rhythm. It picked up in the second half, and they've got 2 big tests coming up next against the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so for Cleveland to get a nice on-track win, initially I was a little skeptical of Watson playing this week. I thought he should get an extra week of rest. But after seeing his first half against Arizona and the bounce back in the second half, to me it was obvious that it was a good time for Watson to kind of get his feet back underneath him and get ready for those 2 big games against the Steelers and the Ravens. So a lot to like, a lot to talk about here. But the defense, let's give them their roses, right? 58 total yards of offense. That's not a typo. Is that a typo? Not a typo. 58 total yards. They had 24 yards on the first series. Half of their yardage, more or less, came on their first series. Since then, nothing. Oh, I'm just getting word. Yep, the Cardinals just punted again. Okay, so that was their 10th punt right there. 3 turnovers, 23 minutes time of possession. Meanwhile, the Browns offense, 326 yards. Deshaun Watson was, let's be honest, a bit inaccurate in the first half. 19 for 30. He went into the half 11 for 20, 8 for 10 if I'm doing math correctly in the second half. The running game was obvious that it was something that Browns wanted to commit to. Initially, I was like, Kevin Stefanski is having some major trust issues with Watson. They are running it on first, second, and third down. No, it was 20-0 in the fourth quarter. The Browns knew they had this game. They did not want to see Watson take a meaningless hit. So instead, they pounded the rock. 113 yards, but not a good average. 40 carries, that's a lot of usage on the ground. That is an area that still needs some fine-combing, good fine-toothing, all that good stuff. Going up against Ravens and Pittsburgh run defenses in the next 2 weeks. But maybe the biggest stat of all, 0 turnovers. Something the Browns have horribly struggled with. They were dead last in the NFL in giveaways coming into this game. That's a good way to turn things around. Protected the football, 3 takeaways, dominated the clock. This was an all-around great team win, right? You look at the stats head-to-head here. The Browns dominated in every facet of the game. Deshaun Watson looked a lot sharper in the second half. He looked like the guy the Browns have been waiting to see more and more of. And we see the last 2 true starts against the Titans and against the Cardinals. Watson's B game, I think we can kind of call it that, still gets you 27 points on offense. When he gets up to his true cruising altitude, this is going to be a Super Bowl contending team with this defense kicking ass as well. And Dustin Hopkins, if he wants to miss a field goal, miss one against the Cardinals when you're up by 20 points. That's a good time to spot a miss right there. Now, a quick shout out to our sponsor today, Prize Picks. Now, what is Prize Picks? It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player staff projections and watch the winnings roll in. With quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and enormous selection of players and stat types, Prize Picks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app. For Sunday Night Football, this is what I'm rolling with. Joe Burrow, less than 12.5 rushing yards. Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs, more than 175.5 receiving yards combined. And I like the less for Joe Mixon at 19.5 receiving yards. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. The link for that is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. So, Browns winning this one 27-0. We'll get the score fixed up top for you guys. Sorry about that. But like I was saying earlier, Deshaun Watson, 19 for 30, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 to David Njoku, 1 to Amari Cooper. The first one was a bit of a lucky touchdown, I think we can all admit. But all in all, like, Deshaun Watson had to come back, had to play a first game where you knew there would probably be a little bit of cobwebs to shake off. And I understand that we're kind of getting to a point of we're just tired of, I wouldn't say excuses, but like reasoning for why the $230 million quarterback play isn't looking like a $230 million quarterback. But ultimately, he rounded out the game very nicely. You saw the zip and the velocity on his passes. So there's no concern about Watson not having a deep ball. And yeah, he hadn't played since September, if you take out 12 snaps against Indianapolis. So he was a little inaccurate in the first half. I'm going to sleep just fine because he finished the game on a very high note and gave a lot of reason to believe, oh yeah, Watson's really starting to click. We're starting to see more and more. And once again, there you know who they are. They're your neighbors. They're in your schools. They're in your work. They complain about this team no matter what. If we're going to complain about a team that won 27-0, imagine what the complainers are going to do when this team is firing on all cylinders, right? Because it still feels like they are just getting better and better. And as Watson comes back and he gets more up to speed, and I understand at this point of the year, we hoped he'd already be here at this point, but the reality is he suffered a right shoulder injury in week 3. That's going to put things behind schedule a little bit. But here's the good news. It's week 9. We're at the halfway mark of the year. We're at the 50-yard line. There's a lot of football to be played still. So if the best is yet to come, I'm excited. Because if this is just their B game, man, what's their A game going to look like? Let's run through some other stats. Jerome Ford led the way on the ground. Unfortunately, it was not very effective. 20 for 44 yards, a long of 9. All in all, this ground game did not have much success. I guess credit to the Cardinals' run defense, but I feel like it's more of a credit to the Browns' offensive line, which is actually, unfortunately, a segue to some injury news here. Jedrick Wills, if you missed it, he was carted off the field, had a air cast on his right leg, did not look good. I have not gotten official word yet of the official diagnosis, but I think we all sort of know what that means. And Jedrick Wills, I think, is unfortunately in the same category of, we know what happened when Nick Chubb went down. It didn't have to be spelled out for us. That appears to be the case for Jed Wills. I'm actually looking on Twitter right now. He's in street clothes, waiting for a cart as he's in crutches. It has a big, big brace on his right knee. So, unfortunately, I'm fearing the worst for Jedrick Wills. It'll be James Hudson moving forward. Marquise Goodwin suffered a concussion in the game, or at least got put in a concussion protocol. He missed the rest of the game after coming down hard on I would say, a really good pass from Deshaun Watson, but a difficult catch for Goodwin. Amari Cooper is Amari Cooper. He is, I think, in 2023, the most underappreciated wide receiver. I don't know if he's definitively a top 10 guy anymore with the young bucks coming up like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those guys are unquestioned top 10 players. So Amari Cooper, DeAndre Hopkins, some of the older guys are sort of being phased out from that top 10 conversation. But the guy goes off for 5 receptions, 139 yards, and 1 touchdown. 2 incredible catches off a deflection and off a perfect dime from Deshaun Watson. Amari Cooper is still him. So with that being said, grade Deshaun Watson's performance against the Arizona Cardinals. I give it an A-. I think that the first half, the inaccuracy at moments, 11 for 20, is worthy of a minus because if you're getting an A grade, you got to be perfect across the board, and there were some imperfection moments, but I'll give Deshaun Watson an A- for the entire game. Clayton Tune, you might not be in the league for very long. Like, he got put into the lion's den here. Dalvin Tomlinson had 3 sacks. This defense was flying around. This defense was balling out. It's exactly what the defense needed. Kind of get their swagger back, right? Get some good mojo, get some confidence going into games against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. But Clayton Tune, 2 turnovers, a sack, 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, a fumble, 3 turnovers. Cardinals fans should be excited for Kyler Murray. That's all I'm going to say. Other things and takeaways from this game, ultimately, it was a big team win. Kevin Stefanski, he won 27-0 as a head coach. He and this defense, in part, pitched a shutout for the first time in 16 years. No one got going offensively for the Cardinals, so credit to this Browns defense. They were playing backups in the fourth quarter, and they were playing hard. They did not care if it was garbage time. They did not want to get that big donut off the board, so they shut out the Cardinals. Marquise Brown, 4 receptions, 2 penalties. Talk about the DBs playing lights out. Jerome Ford had some nice receptions. He had 5 grabs for 33 yards. And once again, David Njoku, the stats might not say he's having a great season. The box score hunters will come away thinking 85 is not doing anything. But you can just tell where Deshaun Watson's eyes go to when he needs a big play. It's 85 and it's 2. So credit to Njoku. Good for him for getting a touchdown. And all in all, the Browns receiving core. I wish we saw more from Cedric Tillman, but hopefully as he gets more snaps, he gets more reps, he gets more experience, we'll see more out of him. That's going to do it for us on today's post-game show. But the Browns knock off the Arizona Cardinals 27-0. They are 5-3. 2 big games coming up, like I've been saying, all video long. But I'm confident and I am positive about the direction this team is heading in. They're going to start rattling off a few more wins, no doubt about it.